with the very latest from here at home and around the world. You're watching News First's Lunchtime News with me, Deshan Gonawala. Before we look into the stories in more detail, let's first have a look at the headlines. President requests world leaders to look at Sri Lanka with a new perspective. More than 100 millimeters of rain forecast for many areas in the country. Father electrocutes son to death in Matara. Trump-Rouhani spar in competing UN speeches. Now in your lead story this afternoon, President Maithripala Sirisena requested the world to look at Sri Lanka with a fresh perspective. He made the request addressing the 73rd General Assembly of the United Nations in New York.
This year's conference is held under the theme Making the United Nations Relevant to All People, Global Leadership and Shared Responsibilities for Peaceful, Equitable and Sustainable Societies. Representatives from 193 countries are attending the United National General Assembly. The assembly, which will be chaired by Maria Fernanda, will go on for a period of 9 days. President Maithripala Sirisena addressed the General Assembly at around 2 a.m. this morning.
As over a decade has passed since our 30-year civil war, I request the world to look at my country with fresh eyes and with a fresh perspective. In the aftermath of a war, look at Sri Lanka with a fresh perspective and consider the tremendous progress made by the government towards reconciliation, restoration of democratic freedoms, human rights and the rule of law, and extend the fullest support to build a progressive, democratic, free and equal society. I urge the international community to allow Sri Lankan people to solve their own problems on their own.
US President Donald Trump's speech at the General Assembly caught the attention of the global gathering.
Iran's leaders sow chaos, death, and destruction. They do not respect their neighbors or borders or the sovereign rights of nations. Instead, Iran's leaders plunder the nation's resources to enrich themselves and to spread mayhem across the Middle East and far beyond. We cannot allow the world's leading sponsor of terrorism to possess the planet's most dangerous weapons. We ask all nations to isolate Iran's regime as long as its aggression continues, and we ask all nations to support Iran's people as they struggle to reclaim their religious and righteous destiny. I have great respect and affection for my friend, President Xi, but I have made clear our trade imbalance is just not acceptable, and the way they deal cannot be tolerated. So the United States took the only responsible course. We withdrew from the Human Rights Council, and we will not return until real reform is enacted. As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority.
World powers including India, China and Japan are expected to address the General Assembly today.
Now, US President Donald Trump and his Iranian counterpart Hassan Rouhani clashed sharply at the UN General Assembly, with the former urging the international community to isolate Tehran from global trade and the latter calling US sanctions, quote, economic terrorism.
Weeks of speculation about a possible breakthrough meeting devolved into a war of words over Trump's decision to withdraw from the 2015 nuclear deal and to reimpose economic sanctions on Iran. Trump fired the first volley, repeating his administration's contention that Iran is the world's quote-unquote leading sponsor of terrorism. Trump promised Iran would face more economic difficulties when the second round of sanctions targeting the energy sector snapped back on the 5th of November. Rouhani later hit back at Trump, saying his decision to impose more sanctions is a form of economic terrorism, accusing the US administration of trying to topple his government. Without directly naming Trump, he said some world leaders are undermining world security by their quote-unquote recklessness and disregard of international values and institutions.
In your local news this afternoon, the Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Colombo celebrated the 88th National Day of Saudi Arabia last evening. Among those present for the event were former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and Speaker Karu Jayasuriya. Questions were posed to the politicians following the event. Politics as a whole has come under criticism, let alone the fall of the rupee. We saw how the former president messed up trying to answer that question. If one doesn't know a certain topic, he must not comment on it. Everybody knows this is a result of the reaction to Trump's policies due to his external conflicts. But it's not like we don't have our own problems. We are drafting plans to solve this. Similar to how one swears when he is under pressure, this government is also swearing. Who is the presidential candidate? We will say at the right time. The CID is recording statements from Sarath Fonseca regarding the Keith Noy abduction. He says that you are the one who made a statement to have him dragged into this. I have not accused anyone. The CID will find things out. I think if they do things properly, they can get to the bottom of this. Now in more local news, the 59th commemoration of the late SWR Bandaranayake is marked today. A commemoration event took place at 8:30 this morning at the Bandaranayake Memorial in Horogulla.
President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga, Sunetra Bandaranayake, members of the Bandaranayake family, relatives and politicians were present for the commemoration. Following religious observances, floral tributes were made at the Bandaranayake Memorial. The late Bandaranayake contested for the Colombo Municipal Council under the UNP ticket in 1926 and left the UNP in 1951 to form the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. SWRD Bandaranayake was the fourth Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, serving from April 1956 when his party, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, won a landslide victory at the general election until his death at the hands of an assassin in September 1959.
Minister of Law and Order Ranjit Madhuma Bandara expressed these views to the media following the Development Committee meeting at the district of Monaragala. Sarath Fonseca was summoned before the CID again. What do you have to say about it? We will carry out an impartial investigation into issues pertaining to the journalists of this country. The media is attacking the government. We should conduct an independent investigation into this. We are collecting information from everyone. JVP MP Vijitha Herath, speaking in Warakapola, commented on the fuel price formula.
මේක අරුම පුදුම සූත්‍රයක්. ඒ සූත්‍රයට දැම්මම වැඩි වෙන එකම තමයි වෙන්නේ. තෙල් මිල වැඩි වෙනවා.
This is an astounding formula, but according to the formula, the price only increases, resulting in a spike of gas and fuel prices. When fuel prices increase, gas prices increase. That forces the price of goods to increase. That prompts an increase in bus fares. All fees and tariffs increase after that. Mahinda Rajapaksa was the finance minister during the previous administration. Recently, he held a media conference with his associates and said the rupee is depreciating, and it did not happen under his reign. He accused the government's mismanagement. A journalist questioned how this could be rectified. He said to hand it over to him and he will show it, but he did not disclose the system of doing so.
හරි එහෙනම් ඔබතුමා කියන්නකො මේක නග්ගන විදිය. ඔබතුමාලගේ ක්‍රමය මොකක්ද? අපේ ක්‍රමය අපිට දෙන්නකො බලන්න. අපි දුන්නොත් අපි කරලා පෙන්නන්න.
Convening a media briefing in Colombo yesterday, the convener of the Left Centre, Chamira Pereira, expressed the following views. When former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was questioned about the rapid rupee depreciation against the US dollar at a media briefing, the former president, who has been in power for 10 years, looked around too stunned to answer the question. He turned towards Vimal Weerawansa. Can you ask Vimal Weerawansa a question related to economics? Vimal Weerawansa is only good at speaking before a gallery. We now know the economic knowledge of the former president. How did he lead this country for 10 years? Former finance minister couldn't do it. They are asking Vimal Weerawansa about rupee depreciation. And what is his answer? He wants us to wait till they come to power to see what they can do. Is that a valid answer to give? Now in some unfortunate news, a father electrocuted his son to death in Walgama, Mathura. This was a 29-year-old resident of Walgama. The father has been arrested with regard to the incident. Police said the son was electrocuted at around 11:50 last night due to a personal dispute. The magisterial inquiry will be held today. Now in your weather news, the Department of Meteorology forecasts showers or thunder showers in most parts of the island, particularly in the evening or night time. The department predicts showers or thunder showers in the Colombo, Kalutara, Galle and Mathura districts. Heavy falls above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the Uva, Sabaragamuwa, Western, Southern, Central and North Central provinces. The launch of a book titled A Tale of Two Countries, authored by Ajit Kanagasundaram, was held in Colombo yesterday.
The launch was held at the BMICH in line with the book fair. The book includes articles on Sri Lanka and Singapore. According to the author, the book was composed in the view of encouraging a national dialogue on the real issues facing the country. The proceeds from the sale of the book will be distributed to fund war widows in Sri Lanka.
Well, that's a wrap of your lunchtime news. Join us again at 1:55 as we bring you more of the very latest for the News First team. I've been Deshan Gonavala. Good day.